Ladies, gentlemen, squid, however you choose to identify this evening, we welcome you. It is time once again for the worst 120 minutes or so in all of sports. Yes, that's right. It is time once again for the Too Many Guys Soccer Show. If you can hear the dulcet tones of my voice, you know that I am Mike. Producer Stead is out this week. His wife is a little bit under the weather. So, Stat Boy, Bundesliga Rob is filling in.
That's right. I'm here. Glad to be here. Love doing the co-hosting.
All right, assistant producer Rob, how goes it, my good friend?
It's good. It's so good because today was the first day of the second round of my favorite club tournament, the DFB Pokal. Thank you very much. No major giant killings today, but still I love this competition, and I can't wait to see who plays in that beautiful Olympic Stadion in Berlin. Round 2 concludes tomorrow, and I think we got like 4 more rounds to go.
I'm not going to lie, it's been a little bit since we've been on the air. We were off last week. My back was bothering me. But it's good to see the chalice out.
Right. That's right. My good old AliExpress produced Pokal trophy.
I mean, and that is one of the good tournaments to watch.
You know why I like it? Because it's still German, German football with the supporters and like the crazy pyro and, the tifos and the choreos and cortios and all that. But you get to see some different sides that you don't see before. Like today we had Stuttgart Kickers, which is kind of a historic team. But obviously they're not as popular as the Stuttgart, that plays in the Bundesliga. Just teams like that, seeing who plays from the third division, and obviously like seeing their fans travel, and also to see like how they interact and how they add to the atmosphere. Like it's beautiful to watch, because they're very loud. But let me tell you, watching City Liverpool this weekend, the fans were insane. It's an atmosphere when the camera shakes, when they pan.
We will totally get onto that.
That's right.
A little bit later on. Professor Matt is going to join us later on in the show. Do a little bit of Eastern European football like he normally does, and talk to us a little bit about City Liverpool. We got Los coming up in the next 5-10 minutes to talk El Clasico. And later on, we got Chelsea Mike coming on. He's going to talk a little bit about MLS Cup and playoffs. Not the most interesting, but still a good first round. Austin FC winning on penalties. You had a couple of ones go down to the last minute. We're all set up. I know you got to be psyched about this, Rob. El Trafico in the playoffs. One-off cup match.
Yes, those are beautiful match. They're beautiful matches in the regular season, but in the playoffs, they're amazing.
It didn't work all that well for your New York Red Bulls.
God, we have an expression. It's called "That's so Metro," because that's just how we fail. We're the only home team who lost this weekend. And look, I'm sad because if the Red Bulls have won, then I would have been able to go to Red Bulls Union this Thursday, and I would have been, excited to just go to a playoff game that my team, but it didn't happen because that's a Metro. It is what it is. So,
You know what?
NFT Cincinnati, kudos to you. I have friends who are Cincinnati fans, so y'all did good. Enjoy. And Aaron Long gets a nice long vacation before he hopefully is on a plane to Qatar.
I'm not going to be a Union Red Bull on Thursday.
Darn shame.
Nah, if it wasn't for work on Friday.
Yeah, that darn work, I tell you.
Well, it's not only that, but also I got work on Friday, and we have tickets to Hamilton in Baltimore.
Oh, very nice. Very, very nice.
So yeah, what you doing Saturday? Because we're going to be around the city.
I am in Myrtle Beach.
Oh, you've been traveling the last couple of weeks.
It's mostly been the kid's birthday. So I've been doing a family thing for a bit, but this weekend is Myrtle Beach, visiting some fam down there. It's my last plane trip before the plane trip in 31 days. But I'm not counting.
The last plane trip before the plane trip.
That's correct. Where I go to the desert.
So you've got what, 4 weekends with the family? I'm sure that the wife is going to take advantage of all 4 of those weekends.
She's taking advantage of it so much that one of those weekends she's going away for a little bit. So I say, good for you. Go enjoy, because I'm going to be gone for 2+ weeks.
Have fun with that, my brother. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
No, I can't believe the World Cup is 31 days away.
Well, it's a little bit longer. My flight's 31 days, but I think the World Cup starts in 33 days.
We're still planning events around USA England on Black Friday. Watch parties for some of the other games. Rob, I got to tell you, it is so doggone weird to have a World Cup in November.
I know it's still perplexing. And what's even more perplexing is like the top 5 leagues will still sort of be going on almost all the way to the end. I think even like the Bundesliga, I think their last match day is on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And then like that following weekend, like the World Cup starts. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, no, it's a little bit chaotic. There's not going to be a proper camp for anybody, but the South American leagues will be fine, because I think usually they'll take a break because they love their national team. So Brazil, Peru, like Chile, all those Colombia, Argentina, they'll find a break early for their teams, so their players can get some proper rest and training camp and all that.
Speaking of Peru, I was out this weekend watching the game on Sunday, and the beautiful young lady that one of my buddies showed up with had a black jersey with a white sash outlined in red. I looked at it and I said, "Is that a Peru jersey?" She said, "Why, yes, it is." "Are you Peruvian?" "Why, yes, I am." "Rob, I didn't know that you weren't the only Peruvian on the face of the planet."
Well, you're in Southern Maryland. There's a lot of us down there. You need to mingle a little bit more, and you'll see us.
I thought that was a mythical country. I didn't think anybody actually lived there.
He should have been a Russian 2018 because all of Peru was there, plus many more.
Yeah, but they I mean, those are like nymphs. We're not 100% sure they exist.
We're everywhere. Let's just be honest. They can find a Peruvian restaurant anywhere, even Moscow.
Yeah, but I believe that most of the Peruvian restaurants are actually run by Ecuadorians.
No, they're not. It's all Peruvians, man. I'm telling you, we're everywhere. You can blame our crappy economy and state of affairs in the 70s and 80s for that.
But I do love that Peru jersey, the black one.
Yeah, it's nice. Marathon, right? It's the maker.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Marathon is, as of December 31st, no longer has the contract for Peru shirts. They're not going back to our favorite, Adidas.
Oh, so Peru is going to be Adidas.
That's right. It's a historic Adidas. Like the prime Peru football times is when we wore Adidas.
So should I buy that third kit, the black one with the white stripe, or should I wait to see what Adidas does?
Why don't you buy both? I say buy both. You might not get a black
one. I just don't like Peru that much.
Oh, well, this is a darn shame for you. It's okay.
All right. Oh, I was about to welcome Los in, but he says he has a tech issue. We'll be bringing on Los in a second. He's got, Los has to be having fun right now.
Los is on cloud nine, and just seeing him in the chat when Real Madrid plays, and not to mention also like he was probably ecstatic during the French football awards, aka the Ballon d'Or. Just amazing stuff over here.
We'll ask him about how he felt about Karim Benzema. Not for nothing, we had all said this months ago, and to our credit, like we got the top three pretty much spot on. Karim Benzema was going to win. Sadio Mane was going to finish second, and we didn't really pay attention to third. But I don't think that it would have been too hard for us to come up with Kevin De Bruyne.
I find it interesting because they gave Robert Lewandowski the Gerd Muller Award.
Mm-hmm.
Because the most goals for a striker in the calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who won the Ballon d'Or is a striker. So it's almost like is because Karim Benzema gets the award because his team did well.
Yeah. He scored more important goals over the course of the season than Lewandowski did.
And also my other issue is that Karim Benzema wins the Champions League, right, and does nothing for France, right, for the most part.
No, he did a lot for France. He scored a number of important goals for France.
Well, man, he didn't hold up silverware. He didn't have a chance to, obviously, but Leo Messi does nothing for club, does plenty for country. He wins the Copa America, but wins the Ballon d'Or. But you know what I mean? So it feels like Sadio Mane does really good for club, gets to the final, does really good for country as well.
Lionel Messi would have won the Ballon d'Or this year because are you saying Lionel Messi won it last year?
No, what I'm saying is Leo Messi won it last year because of his Copa America,
but also what he did for Barcelona.
They did nothing, and were awful. They were smacked around Champions League. So what I'm saying to you is, like Messi, everyone goes, "Oh, Messi deserves to win a Ballon d'Or because he won a cup for Argentina." But Sadio Mane wins a cup for Senegal and also makes the final Champions League, and is a big part of it, and doesn't win a Ballon d'Or. Do you know what I'm saying? That so like my issue is Messi should not have won the Ballon d'Or when he won it. It should have been Robert Lewandowski. That's my opinion.
I am totally in agreement with you on that one.
Thank you. You may proceed to Los.
Yes, let's get Los in here. Los, how you doing this evening? Well, that was an awkward pause. Listen,
there he is.
There he is.
Had a few tech issues, but I think they're resolved. So
anyway. It's all El Gato's fault.
Yeah, well, if anyone can take the blame, it's this one because she doesn't care. So, like all cats, they don't care.
Did your cat put a fur ball in the router? Is that what happened?
I've actually found cat hair in my cooler for my laptop. I got little fans, and there's all kinds of cat hair in there. I need to get out of there because now it's making like really loud noises, and I can't use it now. I can't use it. Meow.
Oh, I got it.
Isn't that the sweetest thing on the face of the planet?
She absolutely loves me, and I do nothing but push her head, that sort of thing, and just give her really hard pets and just pick her up, and she just purrs. She don't care. She don't care.
It's still hilarious to me that we have a female cat named El Gato. I understand that gato is in Spanish a masculine noun, yeah. But it's still, yeah. All right, Los, let's start with El Clasico.
Yeah, sure. Well, let me tell you what. It was all Real Madrid. Barcelona looked totally lost on the pitch. Lewandowski looked out of place. They couldn't get anything going, really. And then finally, when they did get something going, it was too late, and Madrid ended up winning 3-1. But this was by far the least exciting Clásico as far as a neutral's perspective. For a Real Madrid fan, it was great. For a Barca fan, it sucked. But and from a neutral, it was like, this is not what we were accustomed to back in the days of Ronaldo and Messi. So
there was a lot of that. We still do have a now Ballon d'Or winner.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Oh, I just watched this jersey.
Yeah. We do have Ballon d'Or winner in that game, and Karim Benzema. We didn't know it at the time.
His goal was what a striker is supposed to do. You clean up. Because Vinny Jr. had the shot, it rebounded right to Karim Benzema, and he put it right where he needed to, right in the goal. So that was perfect.
Rob, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what I expected to see. I know that they were on tied on points coming in, but I really kind of thought Real Madrid are that much better than Barcelona. What did you think?
Yeah, no, it's like Real Madrid just knows what they want to do on the field. They're just so well experienced, and this Barcelona squad, they're very talented, but every once in a while they have a brain fart, and the problem is that their veterans can't dig them out of it. I know Lewandowski had the good assist to Torres, but the game was over at that point. Like Real Madrid was just running roughshod over Barcelona. Barcelona looked lost. Like Lo said, they look like they didn't belong. And you cannot tell me by that game that Barcelona is number 2 in the league. They just were pitiful.
I just think that's how much better Real Madrid are than anybody else in that league right now.
I totally agree. That's right. Real Madrid are just another level. And I've been saying it for 2 years now. I mean, like I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to figure out when Modric and Cruz will like stop being good. They just continue being good. They don't stop. It's like It's like they paid somebody off, some witchcraft, to stop the aging process because they continue going.
Maybe they'll be ineffective when your kids hit high school.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe, you know what, they'll still be playing this way when they finish the Bernabeu, you know, because it's still under construction, as you see. But yeah, no, they're just magical, man. Like, it's like they don't even need to be so athletic anymore. They're just, the precision of their passes and their movements are just top quality. And Barcelona just could do nothing with it. They, you know, I think they're still trying to figure out what Xavi wants to do. And I think honestly too, I think their performance in Europe is causing them to suffer. I think they're starting to get worried here. They need a really good performance this weekend to really cue those demons that are starting to rise up and those question marks starting to come up from, you know, the fans, the supporters, you know, the socios and all that.
It's funny that you bring up the construction because I was watching the game. I'm trying to figure out, why are those primetime areas right behind the goal tarped off? I mean, when you're looking at it on TV, Los, that's not what you want to see. Like,
But you know, I mean, when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, this is a harbinger of the times under COVID, reminder of, you know, where we once were, and now the fans
again. That's not what I want to see. I don't want to see prime real estate blocked off with the tarp.
Nobody does. It'll be ready. It'll be ready when it's ready. You know, if it's not safe, they aren't going to put people there. Okay, that's one of the things I'll say about Spain. They're not going to put people there if it's not safe. So it's, as soon as it's safe, then they'll go ahead and get some clearance from the country authorities, whoever that happens to be. Then they'll go ahead and give the okay, and they'll be in there again. It'll happen. It ain't happening yet. It's all right. It's all right.
All right. So
they built it. And they're still coming. If you build it, they will come.
First blood goes, of course, to Real Madrid in this. That's a significant leg up. I mean, you know, one of the first tiebreakers in La Liga is head-to-head. Real Madrid have that now. Where are they going to push on from here right now? You know, they're cruising in the Champions League pretty much. You know, you've vanquished your biggest foe in La Liga. Where do you expect Real Madrid to push on to as we head into the World Cup break in about 3 weeks?
I think they're just going to keep on chugging like the Real Madrid machine does. They're going to keep on playing the people they have to play and winning the games they have to win. And it's just it's a well-oiled machine. Like you said, Modric and Cruz, are these guys ever going to age? Doesn't look like it. Right now, they're still playing well. Benzema, I mean, he's not a spring chicken either. What is he, like 35, 37? So he's an old guy, okay? But he's playing like he's a youngster too. So, and then you have the actual youngster in Vinny Jr. I mean, these guys are relentless. They are, and when you take a look at Eden Hazard is on the bench, and we know he's capable of doing some stuff too, but he's not getting any playing time. Why? Because these other guys are playing very well and they're very cohesive. It's just going to be, well, hopefully more of the same for Real Madrid, because you know, Hala Madrid and all that. But it's yeah, I think Madrid is going to be fine. I think the question is now who's going to be 2, 3, and 4. But it is early. It's only been 9 games. Last I checked, there's 38 matches in the season. We got a lot of football left.
Kareem's 34. He'll be 35 in December.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Stat Boy.
Yeah. Our own reality.
Speaking of Kareem Benzema, Madrid wins the Clasico on Sunday. Monday, he Karim Benzema walks off with a nice piece of hardware. The Ballon d'Or, the first of his career at age 34. Rob and I talked about this at the top of the show, and we, as a collective group, have talked about this through the year. It's kind of hard to argue against Karim Benzema as the Ballon d'Or winner when you look at the goals and the importance of the goals that he scored for Real Madrid and the number of goals and the importance of those goals that he scored for France. Yes, I know that Sadio Mane got Liverpool to a FA Cup final, a Champions League final, and within one game of a league, while qualifying for the World Cup with Senegal and winning an African Cup of Nations. But when you look at Karim Benzema's body of work, yeah, you're talking about 1-1A. What do you think this means for Karim Benzema to take home that award? And what does it mean for Real Madrid to have yet another Ballon d'Or winner leading that team?
Well, of course, it's always nice to have the accolades. I would say, though, and I think I said this in our thread, you have Benzema with a Ballon d'Or. We have the Yashin award, the goalkeeper award, to Courtois, yet the team award goes to Manchester City. I'm not sure. I think it was the English Premier League press that was voting on that because they got it completely wrong again. I don't know how that happened.
I mean,
now, getting to the Sadio Mane Benzema thing, I really think Benzema, his age actually played in his favor. Because if this felt like, I mean, not saying he didn't have the numbers to back him up and the importance of his goals and all that, but perhaps maybe this is more of a nod to his punishments, even in the shadow of Ronaldo and James, that he still is persisting and still scoring goals even at age 34, almost like a lifetime achievement award. I'm not going to say that that's what it was because he did perform, but that's probably why he got the nod over Mane, because Mane is a young guy and he's probably got a couple more really, really good seasons coming to him. Well, at least Rob hopes so anyway, but it's Bayern Munich, right? But I think if Senegal plays well in the World Cup and Mane and Bayern Munich do some rumbling in the Bundesliga and or Champions League, I think he could be in the running again. I mean, I think they looked at that. Perhaps he's a young guy. He's got a few more years of soccer ahead of him. He can go ahead and next time we'll get him then. Kind of like when Leo DiCaprio didn't win for What's Eating Gilbert Grape. That movie. What a great performance. Okay. Absolutely fantastic. Should have won, didn't win. And it took until he was killing bears in The Revenant for him to finally win something. So
he didn't win for Titanic. He didn't win for Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
Finally, Revenant comes around and he gets screwed by a bear. And that's the one that gets it for him.
It's a Pacino thing too.
Think about this.
Ned Beatty should have won if that was a qualification for Deliverance back in the 70s.
Martin Scorsese, as many great films as he made, couldn't get it for Godfather, couldn't get it for Goodfellas, but somehow got it for what was that one? What was the one for Boston with him and with Leonardo DiCaprio when he didn't win, and they were up the Boston Mob one. Departed.
The Departed.
The Departed. It finally gets for The Departed, which is probably like easily his 5th best mob movie ever. But gets it for that. Man, what you can say, Los, is that Real Madrid now have 2 Ballon d'Or winners playing for them, and Luka Modric and Karim Benzema. And anytime you can say you have 2 Ballon d'Or winners playing for you at the same time, that ain't bad.
Does that qualify for Team of the Year? I don't know.
I mean, the other thing too, I had a problem with City. It's like, I don't know what the parameters were for Team of the Year. Like, is it like team as in like the performance of the team, or is it the club as their financial performances, or their outreach? I have no clue. I really don't know, right? Because it's not like Manchester City are good with the books. They just simply put more oil, and then out comes Erling Haaland.
It's somehow a team whose only accomplishment was winning the Premier League is the best team in the league over a team who won La Liga and the Champions League, and over a team who made a Champions League final and won 2 cups in England. Yeah, I don't get that, but
I'm confused too. I'm confused too.
Yeah, such as life. Los, before we get you out, hey, interesting game tomorrow.
Yeah, an interesting game tomorrow against your boys there, and I listened to that voice message you sent me a couple years ago just for old time's sake. So it was good listening to today. Hopefully to get another phone call like that later tomorrow. For our listeners, that was from the time when Tottenham beat Manchester United 6-2, and Mike gave me a very a colorful voice message that I have yet to delete. I like to listen to it and laugh on occasion. So anyway, it should be an interesting match tomorrow. I think we're still missing Kulusevski. Lucky for you guys. And I think that is the only. Oh, no, Richarlison. Richie's gone, but Lucas Moura is back to full strength. So perhaps maybe he'll get the nod tomorrow. And he's got speed. If he's healthy, he's got speed and talent. And so it should be a good match to watch. Really intend on watching most of it tomorrow if I can, I'll be able to do that. So
I'll take 1 or 2-0 to Tottenham, but if it gets to 6-2 again, yeah, I am going to call you up and curse you out.
Okay, I'll save that message too. I got like 15 saved messages I can keep. I've only got like about 8 saved messages, and one of them is that one. Before I go. Before I go for it, I want to go ahead and give the Getafe report for our coach G. I'll let them know they drew today 2-2. They're still toward the bottom of the table, only a couple points away from safety. So they still need to bring some wins together if they want to go ahead and make sure to have another season in La Liga next year. So we'll wait and see. But that's the latest on Getafe. For Coach G.
Maybe
Coach G. Love you, Coach G.
They have some winnable games coming up too. They have some winnable games.
Maybe Coach G needs to give up on Schalke and just switch full time trying to coach Getafe.
Maybe
I'm not sure how his significant other would feel about that, given how they promote the team and the other, let's call it, extracurricular activities that he may need to get into. But I think he should give it a good consideration. All right, Los, good to talk to you as always. We'll get you back on next time we're around. Talk a little bit more La Liga and a little bit more Spurs.
Okay, take care, guys. Have a good week.
Mike, we're talking about the Ballon d'Or, and it just occurs to me I have an anger towards the Ballon d'Or for multiple reasons as a Bayern Munich fan. Ribéry gets voted UEFA Player of the Year, does not win the Ballon d'Or. Manuel Neuer has the year of his life, does not win the Ballon d'Or. Lewandowski has the year of his life, wins everything, every possible silverware available. Ballon d'Or canceled. Sadio Mane, who is now wearing Bayern Munich colors, loses to Karim Benzema. It's getting to the point where
damn Heisman Trophy. It's a beauty contest.
I know. That's why I don't care for it anymore. I don't care. Somebody said to me, "Are you watching Ballon d'Or?" And I put a GIF of Morticia Adams saying, "Who cares?" Because that's my feelings. I don't care anymore. F it. They disrespect my club.
It's a beauty contest.
I know. Well, are we beautiful? Do we have to turn on a dirndl or lederhosen? What's going on?
I mean, maybe Bayern Munich is. We are not. I might have been attractive back in the day, but screw six pack. I can have a keg.
It's okay. You know what? Keep it a Ballon d'Or. We'll take our trophies and our beer showers.
There you go. So, hey, we got to welcome on a guy who's in a position you and I have both been in. Fresh from his honeymoon, the newlywed. Congratulations, Celtic Cam, the newlywed. Congratulations. Yes.
Yep, and of course I had to get for my ring a Celtic ring. So
of course you did.
There you go. And I'm
I would
sure
expect nothing less.
And I'm sure you took your honeymoon over in Scotland.
Oh no! Well, everyone wanted the wedding to be there, but instead I went to St. Lucia, where I met actually a lot of Rangers fans, which was
was heartbreaking.
It wasn't the best, but while we were there, we won all the games we played, so I was okay.
All right. Well, again, a hearty congratulations.
Thank you.
On embarking into this next chapter of your life. And we expect within about 9 months you can be completely despondent. Because that's how the rest of us are. Welcome to Married Life, Celtic Cam.
Thank you.
While you were gone, Celtic continued to do what they do. Scottish teams continue to do what they do in the Europa League. Where do we want to start? Celtic looking like they do in the Scottish Premier League, but really, man, I gotta feel like this was an opportunity missed in Europe yet again. It was a tough group. I'm always going to give you that. But how much do we rue the inability to get that equalizer against Real Madrid and that inability to get that winner against Shakhtar that could have put you through and been in a comfortable position to at least made it into the Europa League. And then even the inability to close out a game against RB Leipzig at Celtic Park and keep it at 0-0 rather than it being a RB Leipzig win.
Yeah, no, I mean it's I'll be the first to admit it's been really disappointing. I think especially as you mentioned the Shakhtar game. We played decently well in most of these games. I think where it looks like we're tripping up is that finishing element. I mean, the number of crossbars that we've hit in this competition, if each of them had been a goal, I think we would have had the most goals in the Champions League so far. It's been ridiculous. Our finishing ability playing in Europe is just not there. Whereas defensively, playing in the midfield, we're playing decently well. It's just we cannot convert anything to a goal. I think we have, at this point in time, 2 or 3 goals in the Champions League. Thankfully, we're not doing as poorly as Rangers, who have 0 points. We've got a point. But I mean, this, kind of as you alluded to, the Scottish teams have just done really, really poorly in Europe overall. And, Celtic, I think, was the one that people were looking to do some, at least get into the Europa League. And it's just the conversion factor hasn't been there. Maeda has kind of fallen off a little bit here. Even for Ahashi is, Kyogo's kind of dropped a little bit as well. So we're really struggling, but strangely enough, domestically, we're still flying high. We just had that 6-1 defeat of Hibs, who are in third,
Mhm.
and that was a very good game. Giamakis and Forrest, who has been coming on as a substitute, played brilliantly well, but somehow, and this is something we've alluded to before, is does Angie's strategy convert to Europe? And you've asked me this many times, and for the most part, I've kind of said, I think it's getting there. I'm actually, and I'll be the first to admit that I said that. I think now it's a little bit worrisome, just how poorly we've done this season, especially as you said, with the group that we've had. We should have been doing better than we have been doing.
And I've said to you a number of times, I think for Celtic to take the next step forward, they need to be playing in Europe and any sort of European competition in the spring, right? I don't care whether it's the Europa Conference League, the Europa League, the Champions League, but to get past that first knockout stage and get into where you're in Europe when the seasons in the US start to change, be in late February and March and April. Yeah, like be there to make a statement, to go a round or two in Europe. I think that's going to be the big hurdle. And really, I mean, since Neil Lennon did it and got them out of the group stages in what was 2010,
Mm-hmm.
it's been nothing.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And, I think it's difficult because, Scotland, our coefficient has been improving pretty consistently over the past few years. And then we've run into the situation where, Hearts has been dumped out of Europe. Rangers are about to be dumped out. Celtic are about to be dumped. It's not good for Scottish football overall. It's a bad look. I mean, obviously, I feel more so for Celtic because they should have taken this opportunity. But yeah, it's been, as you say, it's been about 11, 12 years now since we've actually progressed out of the group stage. The good thing is with that coefficient rising, whoever comes first and second in Scotland for this coming season, they'll get a chance again at the Champions League. But I mean, still, it's almost like you're kind of expecting the worst at this point in time, and it's not a good picture for Scottish football, I think, with how we've done this season and how the other teams have done this season.
What is it about the Scottish game that just doesn't seem to transfer continentally?
So, I mean, the Scottish game has always been very rough, I'll put it. And referees are generally more willing to allow that. I think it's a more, stop and pass. Whereas, if you look at the EPL, it's more, it's faster movement, especially same thing with like La Liga. It's much faster movement, continue to pace for the full 90 minutes. In Scotland, it's not quite that. It's more one-on-one, it's more physical. And I don't think that translates to certain teams, especially German teams I found that are much more strategic in how they line up players and how they actually create plays and things like that. The Scottish game, I think, is a bit more deal with what you have in front of you, whereas I think, German and Italian and Spanish teams are a little bit more planned out, just at least from what I've seen in terms of their strategy and things like that. So, but again, another item is Angie's style is very counter-attacking, and Celtic has had since I can remember a poor history of a bad, defensive line at the back. And when you counterattack, you leave the back open, and it continues to punish us even to this day. So It could be one of many things for Celtic at this point.
And I don't want that question to take a bit away from anybody who may decide to wake up early and tune into Paramount or any of the Paramount networks or Paramount Plus and decide to put on the SPFL. Not for nothing, I enjoy watching La Liga. I enjoy watching the Premier League. Cam, I've often said this to you. To me, watching a SPFL match is like watching a NASCAR dirt track race. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be gritty. There's going to be speed at some times, but you're going to see awkward collisions at others that make absolutely no sense. I am there for every single second of it. Right now, the table, last time I checked, looks like Celtic leading, Sevco in second, followed by Hibs, who lost recently to Celtic, as you mentioned, 6-1. Aberdeen making a bit of a come up. Motherwell hanging in there. Where are we? What should we be looking at this point in the table as we get into that last couple of weeks before we get to the World Cup break?
Yeah, I think I know I've kind of mentioned this in the past regarding Aberdeen, and we talked about how they had that massive change of backroom staff, things like that. I'm very impressed with what Jim Goodwin has done at Aberdeen in terms of steadying the ship and being able to push them up as far as they've kind of gone so far in the season. Jim Goodwin, a decently experienced player, played for the Irish national team, did some time at, I think, Dundee United or St. Mirren. I think that's something I definitely want to point out and give credit to the Aberdonians. I think he's done really, really well there and pushed them up the table. I think, we're going to see a big battle, and this is not unusual for Hearts trying to climb up the table. They're only a few points off being that kind of fourth, fifth place. But I think we're going to see the classic SPFL battle for fourth, fifth, and sixth between Hibs, Hearts, and Aberdeen. And I will say, I think Aberdeen is my bet to end up in fourth. Hearts or Hibs to end up in fifth, and Hearts to end up in sixth. So I think we're going to see some pretty big movement from both Hearts and Aberdeen in the coming weeks for sure. And Celtic, of course, is going to win the league, obviously.
Why no love for Livingston? I'm just saying, why no love for Livingston?
I do have to give it to Livingston too. They're always Livingston's consistently over the past few years been the dark horse that literally either progresses Rangers or Celtic to get those extra few points because they beat the other one. Livingston is just like the Lego on the floor that you're walking across. Damn it! God, where did you come from? That is Livingston to the SPFL. That's how I see them. They are the trickiest team I think to play against because of their damn turf court.
Yeah, I know it's a travesty. I mean, and then it's we call it the pasta pitch, because the Tony Macaroni.
Macaroni, yeah, I love it. Best sponsorship in SPFL by far.
We got to step down a league. As excited as we were about Arbroath last year, they are sitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
Of the Scottish Championship right now. All those wins they were getting from draws last year and all the draws that they were getting from losses have turned into losses and draws.
Yeah.
Rock bottom of the Scottish Championship, a full 13 points after 10 games behind Partick Thistle, a team that we've talked about it. Them and Inverness is sitting in the top two. They're both teams that we've seen bounce up and down between the championship and the championship, but it's Hamilton Academical and Arbroath holding up the championship. Is there any hope that either one of these? And let me be clear. I love both of them for a variety of reasons, and I want to see them stay in the top, in the championship at least. How hopeful can I be that I can see Hamilton and Arbroath playing the championship next year?
I think in terms of Arbroath, it's so sad because, as you say, it's gone from such an epic potential tale to just one of like very much so despair for Arbroath fans at this point in time. It is, I'll be honest, it's not looking good for them. I haven't been able to watch too many games because, believe it or not, that doesn't really get broadcast over here in the US.
I'm shocked to learn that the Scottish Championship isn't broadcast in the US.
Right, I know, it's wild. But I think from what I've seen, the fan base is unhappy with the leadership there. The players are, again, we have to remember these players are part-timers. These are guys that have regular jobs during the usual day, whereas teams like Partick and Inverness and even Hamilton Accies, like a lot of their players are full-time football players, and they're down there too. So I think it's not looking good for Arbroath. I think the Accies can push themselves up. One thing I will say in the championship that I am impressed with is Ayr. Ayr United sitting in second right now, I think is decently impressive, especially because they're sitting above Inverness, which definitely has a larger budget than Ayr United. So, I think that's going to be a team to watch in the championship for sure. But, to answer your question, Arbroath is looking queasy, shall we say? Whereas I think the Accies will be able to pull it back together. They have a history of dropping and then popping back up. So we'll see.
I want to point out that as Cam refers to Hamilton as the Accies, Hamilton Academical are the only team in British football that originated from an actual school team.
Yep. I actually didn't know they were the only one. I'm actually very surprised about that. I knew they originated from a school. I didn't know they were the only one.
They are the only remaining extant football team in the UK, Scotland, or Wales that actually originated from a school team, having originated in 1874 at the Hamilton Academy.
I did not know that. That is a really interesting, and they're older than Celtic too. That's an old team.
Yeah, that's an old team. They're one of the oldest ones around. But when we talk about the origins of so many of these teams being neighborhood, school, union clubs, this was originally the team for the Hamilton Academy. And they are the only professional club that originated originally as a school team. That's why I have a little bit of love for the Accies, because they have that history. So when we refer to them as the Accies, it has to do with the fact that we call them Hamilton Academical, because they really are actually a team that originated as basically a private school club that somehow made it through the leagues and became at one point a professional team.
That gives me a little bit of love for them too. I'll be honest with you. I get, I got a little bit of love for Arbroath for how they did, and I've got a little bit of love now for the Hamilton Accies because that's a solid star story.
Mm-hmm. It was it was started also as a grammar school and became a comprehensive school. So how you got full credit to Hamilton. Now, if you ask me to find Hamilton on a map with directions, I'm not 100% sure that I could actually do that. And that has to do with the fact that, like, my knowledge of Scottish geography is like slim to nil.
If you
All
go
right,
any direction in Scotland for like 20 miles, it's such a small country, you'll probably be pretty close, so don't worry.
It's like it's like South Carolina in the United States. We call that the world's biggest circle. When I was surfing down there, I learned that everything was either 30 minutes or 3 hours away. Anywhere you wanted to get to was either 30 minutes or 3 hours away.
Yeah, that's like Scotland. The thinnest part of Scotland is 54 miles. 54 miles.
All right, buddy. What games do we need to look out for this weekend when it comes to Scotland?
So there are some pretty big games. There's Hearts versus Celtic at Tynecastle this week. That's always, Hearts are sitting lower end. I think they're 7th or 8th at this point in time. But that's always a bit of a grudge match between Hearts and Celtic.
Well, if nothing else, you have an Edinburgh Glasgow derby, and that's always fun.
That's true. You've got mini Rangers and Celtic going at it with each other. So that's why it turns into such a grudge match. But you've got honestly, there's a plethora. Aberdeen Motherwell, I think is going to be a really, really, really interesting game. Motherwell came out the gate hot this season, and they've been playing pretty well. And Aberdeen is clearly clawing themselves up the table. Rangers and Livingston, I think, is also going to be good. Shout out to Bayern Rob for his Livingston team right there. I think Livingston's going to actually really bring it to Rangers. Rangers always struggle against Livingston just as we do. And then St. Mirren, Dundee United, I think is actually also going to be a really good game. St. Mirren, again, they're climbing high the table. Dundee is very desperate right now, and they just lost their League Cup game today. So I think they're going to be coming back with a vengeance. So God, even the Kilmarnock Ross County, Kilmarnock just they beat Dundee United to get into the semi-finals of the League Cup in Scotland, so they're riding on a high, and they'll be playing Ross County, which in terms of history with those two teams is a bit of a knockabout. So in terms of Scottish football this week, I mean, the only game that I would say is really not that interesting is Hibs and Johnston, but now that I say that, it'll probably be the best game of the lot. But no, there's a lot of good games in Scottish Premier Football this week.
All right, so my brother, first and foremost, go enjoy married life. Congratulations again. Enjoy it while it lasts. The happy times. We'll get you back. We'll get you back next week to talk a little bit more Scotland and give us the update from the land of enchantment that is the Great North.
All right, brothers. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
Yes, you take care. All right, Rob.
Yo.
Your time to shine, my man.
This wonderful Bundesliga chaotic season. My goodness,
man. So can we stop to appreciate the fact that Union Berlin still, at least at one end, has a manual scoreboard in their stadium?
It's beautiful. Fucking beautiful. It's very Wrigley Field-esque.
Yes, but there was just something that I love about some old German dude having to lean out of a window to hang 6-foot plaques on the side of a wall to update the score of Union Berlin matches. Like
that's a beautiful job to have lately, by the way. It's like, people kill for that job. It's like those people that apply to take over the scoreboard at Fenway. Same thing.
And that's a pretty big lean. Like, I was looking at it the other day. I'm surprised he doesn't fall and hurt himself. Yes, Bundesliga doing what Bundesliga does. What do you make of it at this point in the season?
There's like a meme or a GIF. I forget who it is, but they go like, "Are you not entertained?" and it might have been 300, the movie 300. But this is what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted Bayern to have a challenge, and maybe y'all wanted not the traditional powers. You didn't want the pill poppers and Leverkusen. You didn't want the bees in Dortmund or or the Gladbach, aka that German team. This is beautiful. Like, if you're remembering how the Premier League was when Leicester was sniffing around and then they finally won the league, this is sort of that feeling. The only issue I have with when you're in Berlin is that they have a couple big teams coming up in Gladbach and Leverkusen. I mean, Leverkusen, they should be a big team, but they've been blah for like all season. But I think the World Cup break and the winter break is really going to affect them. I really do. They're on such a momentum here that they really need to keep it going. They really need to not drop points, and they really got to hope Bayern drop points, because I think if they have a 3 to 4 point lead by the World Cup, you can seriously consider them as a contender. Because they're just magical. They play good football. They play their way, and they impose themselves on people. And they have a nice striking duel with Becker and Jordan P. Fuck, Steven Shoe / Jordan. They're just fun to watch. They're a great story. The atmosphere is beautiful. It's alive on the TV. So, they have a legit chance to really pile up some points over the next few weeks. I'm excited for them. I really am.
I could not make up the top of the table at the beginning of the year if I wanted to.
Nope.
I've got Union Berlin on 23 points, 4 ahead of Bayern Munich. Freiburg in third, Hoffenheim in fourth, Eintracht Frankfurt in fifth, Mönchengladbach in sixth, Cologne in seventh, and I have to look all the way down to eighth to find Dortmund and 10th to find RB Leipzig. And it's Werder Bremen in between Dortmund and Leipzig. Rob, there is no chance that this table stays anywhere remotely looking like this order come the end of the season.
No, because even this week you have Cologne potentially moving to third. Like, it's Cologne going to third. They're playing minds. They will probably score an own goal, and they'll probably win 3-1. And the one will be the own goal that Cologne scored, because apparently Cologne scores an own goal every week. Freiburg was doing so well, and then all of a sudden they got scared because they saw big bad Bayern Munich at the Allianz Arena, and they forgot who they were, or maybe they remembered who they were. I don't know. Like, Ginter just played awful. The whole team played awful. No, this table is chaos. Bremen should have had no business being where they were. I thought Wolfsburg would be higher because I believe Niko Kovac is a good coach. Leipzig is on their second manager of the season, and they're still in 10th place. Dortmund spent beaucoup money for players. One, unfortunately, got cancer and he's recovering. But still, they have other players that spend money on, and they're in 8th place. Then they lose to Union Berlin. For Hoffenheim, I didn't think they would be this high up. Frankfurt's weird. They win a bunch, then they lose, and they smoked their own goalkeeper when they played Bayern. Like, I don't know, their pyros off. Like, this season is chaos. It is vibes. It's drama, and it's beautiful to watch. I can't get enough of the season. Give me more of it.
Now, I love Frankfurt because they're either going to win by multiple goals or they're going to lose. There's not a whole lot in between. Like, they are incapable of winning a 1-goal game. everything is either like it is like 3-0, 5-0. They can get a red card and beat Union Berlin 2-0. But they can also lose to Wolfsburg 1-0.
Yep. No, it's been that season. I mean, and I know they're in Champions League, so it's a little bit different for them. But like, there's no excuse. Freiburg, Union Berlin, and Cologne all have Euro matches, and they're still up there, which is a shocking. Which is probably the most shocking thing of them all. You know, these teams do not have money for depth. Eintracht Frankfurt is more of a historic team, at least modernly or recently. So they have some cash. They splash it around. You know, they have a Goetze and a Rhoda and all them folks. Kamada is just amazing, by the way, a fantastic player. You know, but like, you know, do you expect them to be able to do dual duty? But like, even then, like, you know, they win in the Bundesliga and then they get smoked in Champions League. They lose in Bundesliga and they didn't actually come back alive in Champions League. I can't make who Frankfurt are. I don't know. I mean, are they going to get better after they get bounced from Champions League? I don't know either. I really don't know this season. I'm lost. Just take a 18-sided dice and just roll it like in a bunch of times, and then you'll get your table, and then do it again and get next week's table, because it's just chaos.
So last we talked was right before their Classico. That was a painful one. Bayern looked to be cruising. Somehow Dortmund come back. They get 2 goals, a red card, all of it. Dortmund midweek go out and draw 1-1 with Sevilla, and then at home in Westfalen Stadium lose to Union Berlin.
No, Union were at home. Union were at home.
I'm sorry, I'm reading the schedule wrong. Go to Union Berlin and lose 2-0.
You know, the Dortmund mentality, I said this in the chat, the Dortmund mentality is to be excited about a draw at home. And the Bayern mentality is to be pissed about a draw on the road. And that's what it is. You know, Dortmund, I don't know what Dortmund are doing, because like they're another team like a Frankfurt. They have all the talent in the world. They play really, really well. They really, like, you know, you think that they were turning their corner when they got the draw against Bayern, and then they just lay an egg. Like, they should have beat Sevilla. They should have done better against Union Berlin. I mean, who is this team? They have all the time. I mean, Jude Bellingham looks like he's by himself, like on the field. It's like Jude Bellingham and the Ragtag Boys. It's, you know, and they have Champions League still. Like, you know, like they're better than they should be better than where they are. I know Union's different, Union's good, but like, you gotta put up a better effort, because it could have been easily 3-0, 4-0. Dortmund just did not perform at all what they should have. And then Yemi just look like he's a kid. Like, I mean, he has talent in the world, but then all of a sudden he remembers that he's a child playing with men, and then he like just shrivels. And he'll turn it on again next week. Probably he'll score a goal or two, a beautiful assist, because he's really talented. But I don't know what the manager's doing. Terzic, it looks like he's just a pure vibes manager. Has not picked up a clipboard to show some tactics, because I really don't know what they're trying to do either. They look lost, and they're trying to like win on their talent, and it does do that for them. But against compact teams like Union, disciplined teams like Union, you're going to get bit. It's almost like the crowd willed them to a tie against Bayern, which is great. You know, your crowd can do that, but you know, you're not playing Bayern all the time. You have to get up for these other games. You have to, you know, you have to get up for Sevilla. You have to get up for Union. So, and you can't like just say, you know what, we're playing a big team this week. We actually got to try. So, Dortmund just they're disappointing.
All right, so a number of interesting games going on between Friday and Sunday in the Bundesliga. Yeah, Werder traveling to Freiburg, uh, Bayern playing, traveling to Hoffenheim on Saturday. I am especially interested on the late Saturday game. Eintracht Frankfurt traveling to Mönchengladbach. League leaders, Union Berlin, I have to go to Bochum. And the Sunday game, I don't know why this intrigues me, but Schalke and Hertha Berlin. I mean, strangely, that just feels like, and I know that it's more than a feel. I know that it is a historic rivalry. That just feel not. Both of them kind of towards the bottom of the table right now. Hertha one place off the transfer spot in 15th, Schalke in 17th. But man, that just feels like one of those good old-fashioned rivalry games. What's the pick of the litter for you this week?
It's Freiburg Bremen. I think Freiburg, had a chance to really say, you know what, that Bayern game, forget it. He stunk. We're gonna get back to our winning ways. And they can do it. But Bremen has been amazing. They have this striker who is just wonderful, man. I can't say enough things about him. I forget his name exactly. Oh, Nicholas Füllkrug. That's it right there. Professor Matt, thank you. Had the chance to get in a plane to Qatar. He's that good. He's one of the leaders in scoring in the league. He's gonna have to go up against Gunter in that back line of Freiburg. So I think that's the top game. Best game of the week. The Friday game is nice because I really want to see Cologne win. They're just fun to watch. Cologne, they'll score like 3 goals and then they'll have an own goal, like I said earlier. And obviously the Gladbach Frankfurt game's good. Just because they have talented players. Marcus Thuram is fantastic. I have him on fantasy. So obviously I'd be rooting for him, and Kamada is great as well in the midfield. So I'll be rooting for them to do well. It should be lots of goals happening. And then Union, man, this Union Bochum, this is a game that Union needs to have. If you want to prove to the world and to yourselves that you are a contender, this is the game you have to win. You need 3 points out of Bochum. So that should be a fun watch on Sunday morning, right before you go to brunch. Check out Bochum Union. Hopefully Union gets 3 points there. Schalke, man, they need to do something because they got smacked today in the Pokal. Yes, the DFB Pokal, smacked by Hoffenheim. When you get knocked out, dizzy, and you see stars, they didn't see stars. They saw SAP code because Hoffenheim is owned by the maker of SAP. So yeah, no, it's Schalke need to do something because they're teetering on that zone to go back down, and Schalke's too popular and important of a team to go down. So Schalke, please do something against Hertha. But Hertha, man, they've been on a trip, man. They're playing better than I thought they would be playing. So that's not going to be an easy game for Schalke. I expect Hertha to come out comfortably out of that game, and Schalke to kind of go deeper into that relegation battle.
Speaking of Pokal, we have a couple of interesting games left in the Pokal, which has been played yesterday and today. I'm looking at Dortmund having to travel to Hanover. Oh man, Am I dating myself when I say I remember when Hanover was in the Bundesliga and possibly had a opportunity to get into Europe? What else do we? The game that I know tomorrow I'm gonna be watching, St. Pauli, the team that we all want to be in the Bundesliga but never makes it. What they're up against Freiburg, Augsburg, and Bayern. A late game tomorrow. That's battle of Bundesliga teams and Fortuna Dusseldorf, another team that I remember, but I haven't heard of in forever. Playing against Jan Regensburg tomorrow at 2:45.
So the matches that are playing tomorrow, which is Wednesday, October 19th. The one that I'm thinking about its potential upset will be St. Pauli Freiburg. It's going to be tough because they're playing in Freiburg, but that should be fun to watch. Dortmund should beat Hanover. To be honest with ourselves, Bremen, based on their form in the league, should beat Paderborn. Bayern, who will be wearing their kit celebrating their Olympic Stadion in Munich. They'll be playing. They should beat Augsburg. I'm sorry, they don't have to travel far for that one. Arminia Bielefeld, Stuttgart. Arminia Bielefeld just got relegated last season. They were playing in the second division. They have a chance here to beat Stuttgart. So that's the other potential upset when it comes to lower leagues versus the top teams. But that's pretty much it, and this earlier today, the big upset was Gladbach losing to Darmstadt. Darmstadt is always one of those teams that bouncing around. They made the Bundesliga last season, go back down, and then always teeter on getting promoted again. Gladbach losing 2-1. That's just terrible form for Gladbach. I mean, they do so good against Bayern, and then they lose to Darmstadt. Like, come on, seriously, come on, do better. But yeah, no, you're right. We all want to see St. Pauli. We want to see that rock and roll, far left pirate ethos back in the Bundesliga. Just can never do it. They get close, but never make it. No cigar. But I hope they put up a good game against Freiburg. I really do.
All right, so we're gonna pivot and welcome in our good friend, Professor Matt. Matt, how you doing this evening? Good to see you, my friend.
We're doing very well, especially after our Yankees were able to close it out earlier today. So, reason is so.
Yes, I had my Yankee socks on, and it was a good weekend. The Yankees finally closing it out. As we record right now, the Phillies are actually up. As much as I don't want to relive the World Series of
Neither do
2009.
I, because born and raised a Yankees fan, but Philly's my adopted hometown. The Phillies are my National League team. That was weird, man.
Yeah, that was a rough time, my brother. That was a rough time. Let's move on to happier things. Perhaps, in the words of Mark Twain, the tales of my demise have been greatly exaggerated when it comes to Liverpool. We have Liverpool and Man City this weekend, and Liverpool coming off of a 3,976-0 defeat of Rangers, managed to run out 1-0 winners over City. What was it that worked this weekend that hasn't been for so many games for Liverpool?
Never assume in football. the one thing you need to know or need to learn is never assume in this game. A couple things. The defense, and I'll be honest, I said it in the chat when I saw Milner starting at right back, I was like, no, this is bad. We saw this last year. Got to keep it real. If he wasn't like 3 years younger than I am, I'd put him out there for, a fair chunk of the season, because that's the best defensive effort we've had from the right back all year. And I like Trent, but let's be honest. He played well, surprisingly well. The defensive pairing of Van Dijk and Gomez was magnificent. I mean, and that looked like old Liverpool, because for me, old Liverpool is Van Dijk and Gomez. When Gomez is healthy and in form, which granted doesn't happen very often because he's usually hurt, and being a fellow Yankee fan, you understand this. He's the footballing equivalent of our old friend Jacoby Ellsbury. Well, it takes him quite a long time to heal. But when he is,
the best ability is availability, and he just ain't able.
But when he is available, he might be England's best center back. They were brilliant. And it's funny. I've been talking to a lot of people. The high line, it's not dead. It wasn't fully abandoned in that match, but it was a lot more measured and a lot more disciplined. And look, I said this 2 weeks ago when I was talking to, Stead about the Arsenal match. I still think we're in the midst of a full-on identity crisis. I think this is very much a transitional season. But, this 4-2-3-1, 4-4-2, 4-2, 4 guys up front would do whatever the hell they want to do. It's at least different. And it seems to be accommodating Salah more, which is important, because him totally wide out playing more like a traditional winger defeats the purpose of having him. It negates what he does best, which is scoring goals.
Rob, how much was this a realization of what Liverpool actually could do to win games versus how much of this was something that Jurgen Klopp did just to beat Pep Guardiola, who he sees as his eternal nemesis?
I think this is one of those games that Liverpool ignored where they were on the table and just said, you know what, we can't take it to them. And they've done it for the last couple of seasons. They've gone toe-to-toe with Man City. And it's been beautiful football for us neutrals here. So I think, Klopp gets it right. I think Klopp knows what to do when it comes to Pep. And I honestly, to be honest with you, I thought like having Haaland there was the game changer. I thought like Haaland was going to do a lot of damage against Liverpool, especially considering, the injuries and the defensive lineup that Liverpool put out. And Haaland did have his chances, but like it was almost on almost always to Alisson. So no, I think Liverpool hung in there long enough. I think that was a key here. Like City had plenty of chances to put it away and get that goal. And simply, I think Liverpool is one of those teams that they just know that if they can hang in there, one of their players could do some magic. And that's exactly what it was. It was magic. Mo Salah was wonderful. He had multiple chances, scored one, and then he only needed one. And once again, the goalkeeping distribution by Alisson, once again, it pays dividends. Like it's
Alisson has as many assists as anybody else does in the Premier League.
Yeah.
All right, but Matt, take it away. Where do you go from
contributions in the last 4 seasons from a goalkeeper, which is remarkable?
No, I don't think it's 4 in the last 4 seasons. I think it's 4 in the last 4 games, which sounds a lot different. Like Alisson has as many assists as any outfield player does this year?
I'll have to double check that, but
No, I know that. Like,
okay.
as far as actual assists, when you look at the Premier League table, like Allison is actually in there, and he's gold. Like, he has direct assists. And what we're talking about actual like direct assists where
Yeah.
you played the ball that, like he did this weekend, where you played the ball that got the guy through the score. We're not talking about the NHL assists where you played the pass to the pass that got the goal. If you put that in, that number would be even higher.
Yeah. He's been remarkable. And two things that sort of Rob said or sort of, threw out there. One of the reasons the Norwegian Cookie Monster had problems was Fabinho played his best match of the season so far. That looked like vintage Fabinho. And is it so much what Klopp did? And I mean, I thought that was one of his better managerial performances. But again, we have to go back to, why does Pep do questionable things in big matches? Why was Kevin De Bruyne out wide right? I know, do they not trust Mahrez to that extent? And why only one substitution? You're afforded 5 now, guy. Not that they were playing badly and you don't want to like break that up. But after they went down 1-0, I was like, okay, well, their bench is gonna come into play. It didn't. That was sort of head scratching.
What are the chances, though, that the Liverpool can keep this up? Has Klopp learned a little bit of a lesson? Number one, I mean, I know they're going to need to make adjustments offensively. The hamstring injury that Jota suffered will likely keep him out through the World Cup. So at this point, you're basically looking at whatever Luis Diaz is when Luis Diaz becomes healthy. If Luis Diaz becomes healthy, Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah for the most part moving forward. So you're 4-2-3-1 probably out the window. You just don't have that right now.
This is going to sound crazy, especially because he did not have the best of cameos over the weekend. Darwin Nunez technically can play left wing.
I would think he would have to play through the center.
But it's either, you have to figure it's either going to be him or Carvalho. And I think it depends what Klopp wants to do. If he wants to go 4-2-3-1, then I think Nunez up top, line of 3, Carvalho, Bobby in the 10, Mo. But if he's going 4-4-2,
how about 4-3-3, which is a formation that has worked for him so well?
I think part of the problem there, and it goes back to, this is a team in a bit of an identity crisis. We used to have 8s. We don't really have 8s anymore. Milner is too old. Henderson's kind of now become more of a 6. And as much as I like some of the young guys, defensively they're not that great. We don't have that Gini Wijnaldum. If Naby Keita was healthy, I'd say go back to the 4-3-3. We just don't have. I don't know if we have the bodies at the moment to do it. The good news is the next 3 matches, at least in October, look winnable. West Ham, who have been struggling at Anfield, Nottingham Forest away, Leeds at Anfield.
I would watch out for Leeds because who knows what they're actually.
That's it. That's the one that I'm a little bit, especially if that was at Ealing Road, I'd actually be rather trepidatious about that. But those are 3 winnable games. And then my whole mantra, especially with the World Cup, is beat Ajax, get yourself, and remember, we also have a match in hand against Mike's Chelsea. At least get yourself in the league to where, top four looks reasonable, and just survive the end of the year and get back healthy, and, maybe with some added reinforcements after January.
All right, my man. Let's switch some gears. What do we need to look out for in Eastern Europe this week?
Okay, so this past weekend, because we skipped a week, was the Ukrainian Classica, Shakhtar Dynamo Kiev. And unlike the Liverpool City result, that one went exactly how I thought it was. Dynamo Kiev are bad. We're really bad. And if you look at the table, we're currently sitting at 9. Now, the good news for us in terms of survival, we're getting booted out of Europe this week. So that's one less thing off our plate. And I think, the winter restart can only do us good. On top of the table, it's kind of crazy. You have Dnipro sitting at number 1 on 18 points. Artem Dobik is going to be a very good addition for someone in need of a bigger striker. Not necessarily a top-of-the-line guy, but a useful squad guy. Shakhtar at 2 at 16. Various Ravine at third at 14 points. I'm not sure how that happened, but the bottom of the table's pretty bad. So there's, I kind of had them as middling. And then medalists, Zaroya and Alexandria, all tied at 13. So this upcoming week, the only real match of note, and this is a good one, and I'm actually going to send something to you guys in the chat either tonight or tomorrow. Maybe Stead can post the link with the show. Is on Sunday, Metalist Dnipro. And Shakhtar Dynamo is the Ukrainian derby. But that's more of a post-1991 rivalry. Medalist Dnipro is that's the old school Ukrainian derby, and for a bunch of reasons. In the 1980s, both of those teams were very good, so that helped. But also, as we kind of talked about in the Ukraine episode, and I think Mike said this is one of the reasons Mike's a Dnipro fan, there is that kind of Ukrainian versus Russophone thing going on. There's also kind of a class thing going on. Kharkiv is a working class town. Dnipro, or as it used to be called in Soviet times, Dnipropetrovsk. This was one of those closed cities. This is where they built goddamn ICBMs. So it's a city of white collar engineers and stuff. And so there's a kind of a class thing going on there. And it's a meaningful match. I mean, medalists are, tied for 4th on 13, and Dnipro's leading the way. So it's an historical rivalry, but also an important match for in terms of the table.
Mike, Matt, I got to tell you this. So I was out watching the Manchester United match this weekend, and one of my buddies, who's Albanian, says he's going to show up late, and he brings his friend Igor.
Okay.
Igor is Ukrainian. Igor is a Dynamo Kiev fan.
Okay.
Igor was very, very, very impressed that I knew Dnipro and medalist in 1925 and Dynamo Kiev and Shakhtar, but I also could talk about all these things. So I want to thank you because I made a friend named Igor. And I do believe that everybody needs a Ukrainian friend named Igor.
I would agree with that. Building bonds, see?
No, I just think that we all need a Ukrainian friend who's rather large Ukrainian gentleman whose name is Igor. That just sounds like something that you need in your corner.
I actually, I have a Ukrainian friend named Ihor, which is the Ukrainian way of saying Igor.
Yes, Welcome, Chelsea Mike. I
Hello.
believe that I believe we need Ukrainian friends named Igor. Like, if that's not the most Ukrainian thing ever, I don't know what is. All right, my friend. Thank you so
All right.
much
Take
for
care,
giving us the haps on Liverpool and a little bit of what's going on in Eastern Europe and especially the Ukraine. We'll catch you back up next
See
week
you next week, guys.
and do this again. Now we turn to the man who may be the happiest guy on the podcast right now.
I mean, I don't know. We've got 2 innings left in this game, so we'll see. But my American football team is undefeated and just defeated our biggest rival. My American soccer team is in the playoffs on Thursday. My English soccer team has been doing very well. I mean, Sixers started tonight, but I'm a Celtics fan, so sorry there, Philly. And hey, Flyers are 2-0, so everything's coming up aces for me.
I mean, did you play Powerball? Do you know if you're a millionaire? Because, like, I'm there with you on a lot of stuff.
No, I want to tell you how much everything is coming up aces. You know, Rob and we did a show where we opened soccer cards, right? So I collect cards. And over the weekend, I won a contest where I won a T206 card, which are the oldest kind of cards in existence. So yeah, no, I should have played the Powerball. I should have gone to the casino, but instead I just watched sports.
All right, so gentlemen, first and foremost, let's talk about the Ballon d'Or. Mike, Rob, and I talked a little bit about this at the top of the show. It's Karim Benzema. I have said for a number of months that I thought it was going to be Karim Benzema. I can make a argument for Sadio Mane. But at the end of the day, Karim Benzema had a few more goals for France. His team won a league and a Champions League, where Sadio Mane's goals really were important in Senegal winning their first African Cup of Nations in who knows how long, and defeating Egypt, his teammate Mo Salah's Egypt, to make it to the World Cup. And he scored the critical goals that got Liverpool to the Champions League final, the FA Cup final, and kept them in there. But ultimately, outside the FA Cup, they didn't win those. Mike, do you have a quibble with Karim Benzema being the Ballon d'Or winner for this season for the men?
I don't. And here's why. The Ballon d'Or is a Player of the Year award, and Karim Benzema was the Player of the Year. I mean, he showed up in all the important moments. And yeah, you're right. You're right about the statistics. He did some stuff for France. I think that I think doing it in a UEFA setting, unfortunately, is always going to get you more attention and more accolades. But that said, if the Ballon d'Or was an MVP award, I think that would be Sadio Mane, because Sadio Mane did come up with the important goals at the important time. And I think if you look at Liverpool now, it's got a Sadio Mane's hole in their press and in their conversions. So I don't have a quibble. I think that Karim Benzema was the Player of the Year, but I think that Sadio Mane has shown what an incredibly valuable player he is to his team. both in the African Cup of Nations and in Liverpool. So no, it went to the right guy. He's the Ballon d'Or winner, as I understand it. But again, Sadio Mane had a really good case, and if it was an MVP award, it should have been him.
On the women's side, Mike, Alexia Putellas able to retain the Ballon d'Or. I believe she's the first woman to win back-to-back women's Ballon d'Ors. And this despite the fact that she did not play in the Euros, tearing her ACL on the eve of the Euros. So basically getting it just off the effort for Barcelona, who, oh, by the way, didn't, and despite going unbeaten in Spain, did not win the Women's Champions League. I can understand why there weren't more U.S. Finishers amongst the top 10. I think the highest was like 15, but that was because we didn't really have a major tournament.
True.
How do you feel about Alexia Putellas winning it, despite the fact that she was on the shelf for the whole of Euros?
Well, I don't disagree with that either. I think Alexia Putellas was probably the player of the year. Sort of actually in a reverse sense, she was more of an MVP. But I would have put it this way, right? Beth Mead won the Golden Boot and the Golden Ball at the Euro tournament and was stellar, and England won the tournament, right? But Arsenal did not progress as far as Barcelona did in the Champions League. And Beth Mead was not even the top scorer on her team. Viv Miedema scored more goals for Arsenal and on her club team last year. And though Beth Mead came in second, Viv Miedema was in the mix in the top 10 there too. Maybe an overlooked person in all this was Sam Kerr. Sam Kerr led England in goals, but again, she didn't have the benefit of playing in the major tournament, the Euro. She didn't get the no one was talking about Australia, obviously. But I know Putellas didn't play, but she was supposed to. There was a buildup for her, and I'm pretty sure every broadcast of Spain mentioned the fact that she wasn't playing for them. So, I mean, I think Alexia Putellas has shown herself to be, she's the best player in the world when she's playing. It opens up the conversation for next year that she's not playing, but I don't really have a quibble with it. Yeah, I mean, I want to make a stronger case for Beth Mead, but it's her club record it just wasn't as good as Putellas's.
Rob, you brought up the idea of Manuel Neuer winning it. And a couple of years ago, we had talked about the possibility of Virgil van Dijk. If I have to look for the women's equivalent of Virgil van Dijk, Mike, I wonder if you know where I'm going with this.
Oh, I believe I do, sir.
Wendy Renard. Stalwart defender. It's Lyon who win the Champions League. France progressed in the Euros, even though they don't win it. Is there ever a possibility that she could win one? Because, when you talk about Beth Mead, Mike, when you talk about Beth Mead, when you talk about Alexia Putellas, Wendy Renard has been a standout women's football player and an absolute rock for both Lyon and France for as long as I can remember. And somebody who I just don't think gets the due that they deserve.
No, I totally agree. You know, Winnie Renard is a threat anytime she's in the box and the ball's in the air. Stout defender, great positioning, you know, has all the physical, you know, attributes to, you know, that a top flight center back should have. And it's a shame that, like, you know, the modern game doesn't recognize those talents as important, and they don't equate to goals being scored or assists, because I think, you know, it's harder to compute. They're not like, you know, it's hard to compute how many goals Winnie Renard prevented based on her positioning that prevented a pass from even being thought about, or when she snuffed out a pass or headed the ball away. So, you know, so the game, that's the game. The game, fortunately, like that, you know, in, like, you know, was said earlier, it's a popularity contest. Was popular goals being scored, or fun passes, or beautiful free kicks, you know, so that's why you're going to get, you know, the Pateas of the world, even the Sam Kerr who deserves it of the world to get these awards. You're not going to see, you know, fullbacks really win it. You're not going to see, you know, center backs really win it, or even keepers. You know, Luka Modric as a midfielder winning the Ballon d'Or on the men's side was wonderful, because, like, you know, to me that part of the game is exciting. You know, the build up and, you know, the process of taking the ball from the back and distributing it for an easy tap in, or easy goals, or goal scoring opportunities. So, you know, it takes a special person to win it for those attributes, and then the rest of the field has to be kind of blah for it to happen. So, and it's hard. It really happens, unfortunately. So, but just on the women's side, I want to shout out a couple of people who made the list of the nominees who play in the NWSL. Trinity Rodman, you know, she came very, very, very well dressed to
I was gonna say that because I don't want to.
I don't mean, neither do I, but let me tell you,
that dress wore the hell out of her.
Yes, right. But let me tell you, this will not be the first time she will be in France to potentially collect this award. She will be back, and even someone like Macario, it's going to take her a couple of years to come back, I think, because she's still recovering from tearing her ACL. But those players, you know, on the American side, they're going to be. It's going to be fun to see a USA player win the Ballon d'Or again, and I think it will happen again.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on and talk a little bit about the MLS Cup. We know now who are the top 8 who are going to make up the conference semifinals. Any surprises going in? Anybody you see there that you didn't expect? Anybody who you expected to see but don't? Rob, I'll let you go first.
You know, I hate to be biased.
Rob, come on. What team did you want to see there? Come on, Rob.
I hate to be biased, but Cincinnati, I thought they played well this season, but to me, the Red Bulls should have been there. I'm sorry. You know, the Red Bulls, I think. But the problem is that, like, you know, they don't have this star striker or whatever. And Brendan Vasquez was just amazing for Cincinnati, and he put the final nail in the coffin. So big ups to Cincinnati. But no, like, I think every team that advanced and is currently now in the playoffs is legitimate to be there. The Galaxy, it's fun to see the Galaxy there. I think they squeaked out a win against Nashville. Once again, as a USA fan, I'm happy because that means Walker Zimmerman gets a little bit more extra rest before he goes to Qatar. So I'm a little shocked about Austin. I think Austin, I think they're still too new, but the crowd was behind them, so big ups to them. You got some great matchups going on, man. We talked about it earlier, but El Tráfico, Jesus, beautiful TV. It's a shame. It's such a shame that's midweek. It belongs on the weekend. I'm sorry, but it's beautiful. But and the Union, I'm rooting for you guys. I hate you guys, but I'm rooting for you guys because just the way y'all build the team. Yeah, I think this is a great build team. I don't know how many more miles are on those legs of Bedoya, but I think he's gonna rile them up. No, man, it's a good playoffs. I like it all, except for that pesky Smurf team that plays in baseball stadiums that I will not name. Screw them.
I'm shocked that after one win in their last 47, they managed to eke out 3 goals and defeat Inter Miami. Mike, what do you think about the playoffs thus far?
Well, it was unfortunate the way that it was rock chalk, right? It's like when you're filling out your brackets and you only pick the higher seed. Well, that's what happened this weekend. And I mean, that's not really fun, but I don't know. I think it's led us to some interesting matchups in the next round in the conference semifinals. El Tráfico, right? LAFC did not really fare well. I mean, they played 3 matches against the Galaxy this year, and the Galaxy won twice. And talking about top seeds, Philly lost to Cincinnati.
Yeah, actually, it's not only that Philly lost to Cincinnati. Philly didn't. Cincinnati was one of, if not the only team over the course of this MLS season that the Union did not actually beat. They lost to them and they had a draw. So both of those coming early season. The draw was in like March and
that was back in February. It was
and the loss was in August. But still, the Philadelphia Union playing at home where they have been unbeatable against a team which strangely they actually did not beat, and there aren't that I know of any teams in MLS other than Cincinnati who have that distinction this season.
Well, I kind of look at the 2 Eastern Conference semifinals sort of the same way, but in opposite directions, right? Mm-hmm. Union played Cincinnati back in August. Between August and now, the Union just sort of seemed to find themselves, and they've become a way more powerful team. That game in Cincinnati was away. The game will be in Philadelphia this time. So I think that has a benefit. It would be a very, very hard loss for Union fans if they did lose to Cincinnati. Because I think, at least in Philadelphia fans' minds, they're favored by that much. And I think sort of the bookies and Vegas, think they're going to win.
Vegas's mind,
right,
Vegas's
exactly.
mind, they're pretty well favored.
Right. So I think that would be a harsh loss. On the other side, NYCFC beat Montreal back in the friendly season, and then they drew in July. But as we know, NYCFC have given up a lot of their core soul and identity and depth and goodness. So, I think it's all pointing towards a Philadelphia Montreal semifinal.
That's going to be a really interesting one because to this day, I still don't know what it is that Montreal does very, very well.
They're a team that's not, you haven't been hearing about them all the time. Of course, LAFC, they're not a big superstar team. They're not an original team. So, but they just keep getting up the table, and they just keep staying there, and they just keep being around. I fear that match the most. I would really like NYCFC to win as a Union supporter, just because I think the Union are way better than NYCFC, and I want revenge from last year's COVID match. But I really think that's a very toss-up semifinal.
All right, so we got to wrap this up. But Mike, as we head out the door, give us your updates on the lower league real quick. What should be number one? I guess Forest Green ran out of energy because they're just at the bottom of League Two. You should have had some protein, bros. You should have had some protein. But other than that, give us your updates on the lower leagues. What should we be looking out for this week after Wrexham picking up the big win in the FA Cup?
Yeah, Wrexham comes through on the replay. I've got to say, that's Wrexham are in the National League, and that's just way too far below my purview. That 4 leagues is enough. 5 with the Premier League. So I will say this: the game of the weekend that's coming up is Sheffield United versus Norwich. Going into last weekend, Sheffield United, Norwich were both dead level on points, dead level on wins, draws, and Sheffield had one more goal. They'd scored one more, and thus were ahead. Both teams kind of faltered this week. Norwich City lost twice, despite a goal by Josh Sargent. By the way, Josh Sargent is now leading the championship in goals. What does that mean for him and the U.S. national team? Let's see how many goals he continues to score. But I don't know. He's making a case there. But again, Norwich lost twice this week. They're playing Sheffield 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus. 3 versus 5, and leading the championship right now, Blackburn Rovers. I love when Blackburn Rovers are in the mix in the championship, because it always provides me the opportunity to remind our listening public that Blackburn Rovers have won precisely the same amount of Premier League titles as Liverpool.
I would like to point out a couple of things about the championship right now. Burnley, who are currently in second place, currently have fewer wins than they do draws. Blackburn Rovers, who are in first place, have as many losses as Middlesbrough, who are in 22nd.
Yeah, Blackburn, no draws on the season. They either win or lose. 9 wins, 7 losses, no draws.
There are exactly 6 points separating Blackburn Rovers in first and Bristol City in 11th.
There's no doubt there, and the championship table's been shuffling up and down. Like I said, going into last weekend, Sheffield United were winning. This week they're in third, and as you know, that's an enormous difference in the championship between going to the playoffs and having an automatic place. But yeah, no one is dominating. I'm actually, frankly, a little bit surprised that Watford, who were recently relegated from the Premiership, are beneath Sunderland, who are just promoted from League One.
Reading in 9th place have as many wins as Sheffield United, who are in third.
Yes, bad run of form for Reading. The Reading women are the only team in the WSL who do not have a Premier League counterpart. So I was rather hoping for Reading to go up to the Premier League. They have been as high as third this season, but they're a bad run of form. They lost the last 3 games.
Yeah, I would just like, and for those of you who are interested, the championship is absolutely BS crazy. You cannot make this up right now. All right, gentlemen.
Wait, let me one last BS
Ah,
crazy thing.
yes. We have to do
One
this.
last BS crazy thing is 4 seconds long. The leaders of League Two, Stevenage, almost got relegated out of the league last year. That's how quickly things turn around in League Two. Last year, almost sent out of the league. This year, kind of looking dominating with 10 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses.
Well, that was the reverse of what we dealt with Arbroath, who were a penalty shootout away from getting promoted to the Scottish Premier League, but look likely to get relegated to the first division next year. All right, gentlemen, it has been a boatload of fun. We did a good job this week. I would like to thank Los for coming on, giving us a update on El Clasico and Real Madrid, talking a little bit of Spurs. Cam, as always, for coming on and giving us the latest from the land of enchantment that is Scotland. Professor Matt updating us on Liverpool and what's going on in the Ukrainian Premier League, keeping us abreast of all the happenings in Eastern Europe. Of course, Chelsea Mike talking about the Ballon d'Or, the lower leagues, the MLS, and all of that. So appreciate your presence. And filling in for producer Stead, Statboy himself with the DF Pokal, Bayern Rob, appreciate your efforts over the last hour or 2 hours or so. So, gentlemen, for the cast of Too Many Guys Soccer Show, Los, Celtic Cam, Professor Matt, Chelsea Mike, and Byron Rob, and producer Stead, we hope to have you back next week. I'm Mike. Gentlemen, we did all right this week. We'll try and do better next week.